Good morning, everybody, and a happy Monday morning to you. I hope your day is going well. There is a lot in here. There is some royal family news, but it's mostly Harry, Meghan stuff. This is really interesting and in depth. Let's jump in and let's cover it, shall we? Let's go. We're going to start off with the Duchess of Gloucester, who, by the way, is the patron of the Institute of Carpenters. So she visited the Exeter College in Exeter on March 27th. She was there for the final event in the National Timber Industry College Hub Series. I think she looks gorgeous in that spray green color. Next up, Princess Anne, the Princess Royal, held her 5th investiture of 2025 at Buckingham Palace. This investiture marks the 10th of the royal family for 2025. William held the 4th and the 7th. Charles held the 3rd, the 5th, and the 8th, and every other one was held by Princess Anne. Obviously, with Charles not feeling well due to his chemo treatments, Anne stepped in to help. I love that. A big congratulations to everybody for their awards. I'm sure everybody earned them. Let's move on. Keeping with Princess Anne, as patron of the British Quality Foundation, she attended the United Kingdom Awards ceremony and dinner a few days ago. This took place on March 27th, and it's a celebration of excellence and achievement. Sticking with Princess Anne, she is also president for the Royal Commission for the Exhibition of 1851, and she and her fabulous husband, Sir Tim Lawrence, attended the presidential dinner at Fishmongers Hall. Here she met fellows across science, engineering, design, and teaching industries. Good for her. She looks lovely in red. And finally, for Princess Anne, on March 28th, as patron of the Royal College of Emergency Medicine, Princess Anne commemorated the 10th anniversary of the college receiving its quote-unquote royal title. They were granted their royal title on February 4th, 2015 by Queen Elizabeth II, acting on the advice of her ministers. There you go. Next up on the 27th, the Duke of Gloucester, who is the patron to the Royal Pavilion, went to the palace, met the team, learned about their garden restoration project, and got a preview of their new exhibition. Love it. Let's move on to this really sweet story. Former auction house boss Christopher Balfour wrote a book, and he was at one of these book signing events this past Wednesday, and he looks up to see Queen Camilla waiting in line. How cool is that? Next up, a picture came out from Sophie being in Brussels at the Child Exploitation and Abuse Roundtable, and they presented her with a Brave shirt. Love it. A big thank you to Remoulade Sauce for showing us what Sophie was wearing on that occasion. Now, also moving on to King Charles, he sent a message to Miramar. Remember, they had a huge earthquake, a lot of death, terrible circumstances. All right, let's move on. Now, on March 28th, it was reported that the Princess Royal went to visit Charles the day after he had that brief trip to the hospital for some side effects from his cancer treatment. Now, people are saying that actually this was a bigger deal, that they're trying to downplay it, but it was a bigger deal. I'm going to say no to that, because if it was a bigger deal, they wouldn't have discharged him from the hospital, and he wouldn't have been in his car waving to people as he was on his way to Highgrove. In the meantime, of course, poor Harry, the victim, had no idea that his father was in the hospital until he heard it on the news like everybody else. What's being reported now is that Harry is lonelier than ever, barely leaves his house, that the only friends he has are the husbands of Meghan's friends. Let me tell you why they didn't tell Harry, because Harry leaks everything. Meghan leaks everything. He leaked this story about poor Harry. Why didn't my father tell me? The truth is, he was William's spare. Now he's Meghan's spare. And while he misses his family, nobody's talking to him anymore. He just wants, the article says, to go for a beer with the guys. But again, his only friends are the husbands of Meghan's friends. Meghan has completely isolated him. It's even being reported that his relationship with Eugenie has completely soured. So now he really is isolated. He has nobody, and that's where he put himself. It's being said they didn't tell Harry because they didn't want to cause Harry alarm. Well, really, the last time they told Harry about the cancer treatment, what did he do? He flew to the UK, he stayed 24 hours, and then he flew to Las Vegas. Give me a break. All right, let's move on now to what's going on with Sentebale. This is just getting worse and worse as more information comes out. They're claiming that Harry will be quote unquote cut by the allegations of racism and misogyny that are coming from Sentebale. But even Richard Eden said, and how many times have I told you this, guys? Karma, it's a thing. What goes around comes around. These are the same toxic accusations he made against the royal family. My goodness. Now, there is a bitter dispute going on in Sentebale. Nobody even knew about it until it was leaked to the press by Harry. Harry's statement was quote unquote leaked. So he's trying to fight this in the press. That's the kind of stuff his mother used to do. Remember, it's the same leaking and planting that he accused the royal family of doing is exactly what he did, which is why we're all now finding out this information. Well, this woman is nobody to be trifled with. She's had a lot to say about Harry and what's going on. So let's jump in with that now. This woman is not playing. She went on Sky News, and what was said was that one of the incidents that was a big problem was fundraising, was the polo tournament, which is one of the ways in which Sentebale raised a lot of money. So what happened to her was that they had the opportunity to do a polo challenge in Miami last year in April. They had a very generous family that was happy to let Sentebale use the polo grounds at a material discount. But then about a month before the event was supposed to take place, Prince Harry called the team and said, "Hey, I'm doing a Netflix show and I would love to bring a camera crew so that I can include some footage in the show." She said, so the team calls me and says, Prince Harry made this request, and so we're doing things. And he said, you can't be doing these things without seeking consent from the property owners, the sponsors, all of the guests, because nobody signed up into being on this Netflix show. So you really can't do that. So they had a discussion about, we need to talk to everybody. We need to come up with draft agreements. And of course, the venue owner said, listen, this is now a commercial undertaking. So here are my terms. And we couldn't afford it. So then we lost the venue. She said, so then we had to go to another venue, and we were lucky enough that through Prince Harry's connections, actually a friend of his, there was another family that was prepared to host the show, but there went on a lot of disruption because a lot of people were unhappy because we'd worked on this for months, up until the actual day. So basically, the next thing that happened was Meghan decided to attend, but she told them she wasn't attending. And then she brings a very famous friend, which is Serena Williams. So you can imagine all the activity that goes with these additional people. She says, we were really excited about it, but we would have been excited more had we known ahead of time, but we didn't. So the choreography on the stage went badly because we had too many people on the stage. The international press captured this. There was a lot of talk about Meghan and the choreography on the stage and whether she should have been there and her treatment of me. So at that point, Prince Harry asked her to issue some sort of a statement in support of Meghan, and she said, no, I wouldn't. She goes, not because I don't care about Meghan, because I knew what would happen if I did. So that's number one. She goes, and number two, because they don't want to be an extension of the Sussex PR machine. This woman came out with some other information, by the way. She said that when she took the chair in 2023, the first thing you do is open the annual reports and look at the board minutes to see, what's going on in the organization. She goes, and you do a 7-year historical review. That's what she did of the financials, looking at the costs and looking at the revenue and the income. And she said it was pretty obvious to her that they had lost quite a number of corporate sponsors. They'd lost some of the families and they'd lost some of the individuals who were donating to the organization. According to her, there was a significant correlation between the time the organization started to see a departure of major organizations and Prince Harry's departure from the UK itself. She said to the board, why aren't we having this conversation? And they came back and said, you can't have this conversation with Prince Harry in the room. There was a man on the stage with her, and he said that, these organizations are rule-based. They live in a government rule-based framework that's regulated by the Charity Commission. And you're expecting the board to act independently to support the charity and to support the interests of the organization as a whole. She then gave an example of what was going on in the meeting. She said, for example, Prince Harry might decide on a specific occasion that he wants to appoint a certain individual to the board with immediate effect without having talked to her first. It's not on the agenda, and somehow everybody's just supposed to tolerate that he's there. So Prince Harry comes into the meeting and says, I want to appoint somebody as CEO with a board member as a trustee with immediate effect. His proxy on the board then says, yes, I second that motion. Then the third proxy on the board says, welcome to the board. She said everybody was shocked and quiet, but that's what happens when Harry's in the room and no one has the courage to speak up. Now, they pointed out to her that some of the other board members, like Baroness Chalker, who was a trustee for 20 years, said that her style was dictatorial. And with that, the woman pointed out that these people overstayed by years. She said, when I came back in 2023, most of the board was still there when I came back. That was there when I left. She goes, you're not supposed to be on a board for past 9 years. And most of these individuals were there for 5, 10, 15, now 19 years. And they were personal friends of Harry's. So what you have is an entrenchment. And there's a reasons why you have term limits, because people begin to mark their own, territory. Now, this next headline that you're looking at, what this woman said was that Harry wanted to eject her from the organization. And this went on for months and months through bullying and harassment. And she said, I have documentation. There were board meetings where members of the executive team and external strategic advisors were sending her messages saying, should I interrupt this? Should I stop this? Oh my gosh, this is so bad. According to her, when that failed, Harry and his team started talking to the sponsors that she'd been speaking to against her and the charity, because that is a sure way of getting her out if it's seen as though I'm not being successful in my fundraising efforts. Wow. Towards the end of the interview, the man says to her, so what you're essentially saying is that Harry is guilty of harassment and bullying and improper conduct in the governance of a charity. And the woman goes, well, let me put it to you this way. I'm going to give you a really good example. The only reason I'm here is because at some point on Tuesday, Harry authorized the release of a damaging piece of news to the outside world without informing me or my country directors, or my executive directors. And can you imagine what that attack has done for me, on me, and the 540 individuals in the Sentebale organizations and their family? Now that is an example of harassment and bullying at scale. And so if the world didn't want to believe that there was such a thing as bullying, this is unleashing of the Sussex machine on me and the 540 employees who have to defend it. And by the way, they asked her, what do you mean by the PR machine? And she said, it's the PR machine that supports Prince Harry's efforts. She said the only way we discovered his decision was through the Sussex machine, activating newspapers and letting people know what was going on. In the meantime, people reached out to Harry and Meghan and they have no response. This is only going to get worse. Laird of the Manor on Twitter pointed out that she was doing such a good job that Harry wanted to compensate her, and that way he would have had a hold on her. And so she refused the money and continued in an unpaid position. Harry did not visit this charity from 2018 to 2024, and this woman has her ducks in a row. So I have a feeling that this is not going to go well for him. But let's not forget that this is not the only problem that he is having. Let's not forget about African Parks. Harry is a board member, and they've been accused of severe abuse of the tribal people. Harry was once the president. In 2023, Survival International, which is a human rights organization, had documented allegations of beatings and tortures of these people. The campaign director called on Harry to step down as director of the charity, and in response, Harry's aides said that they had pledged to use his position to escalate the issue to senior ranks within African Parks. And in 2024, African Parks announced it was launching its own investigation, and even saying that addressing these allegations was its highest priority. Nothing has come from it. Nobody's heard anything else about it. So now everybody's going, oh, what about poor Harry? His mental health. He's going to have a breakdown. He's having a severe internal crisis. Whose fault is that? That would be Harry's fault. Not only is Sentebale going badly, African Parks is going badly, Invictus is going badly, and the only charities he has, he doesn't do anything with them for years, and then he shows up for one day, and then he disappears again like Scotty's little soldiers. His brother and his family isn't speaking to him, and I think Harry might finally be at one of those crossroads where he realizes that he made a massive mistake. Let's move on now to Meghan, who's so busy flogging her jam, she doesn't seem to be the least bit interested in what's happening to Harry. So the new packaging for her jam came out. People were like, what? You have these jam pots that have white labels, gold detailing, the logo, and a metal lid, okay? And then the outside packaging is almost twice the size as the actual product. And people pointed out that it's such a waste that should have a perfume bottle or a candle in it. And they were concerned about the environment because there's so much packaging used. Stephanie Sidley said it best, that's a perfume box. Now, in the meantime, I told you already in a previous video, Meghan finally put up the information showing that her jam, jelly, it's actually neither, it's just strawberry or raspberry spread, is being made in a mass production line. The reason we're talking about this is because Meghan literally told people that she was making it in her kitchen instead of it being mass produced by factory workers. In other words, as you can see by Emerald Tiara on Twitter, it's made in a factory, it's not hand squeezed. I mean, they did say that her preserves will be freshly squeezed and carefully packaged. Now, of course, besides the jam, jelly, or whatever she wants to call it, for those of you who don't know, she's moving over into the sex toy and lingerie area. It's being reported she wants to rival Goop. And she's going to be laying the foundations for this via her new podcast, part of her Girl Talk. Oh, my God. And finally, people are saying that it was not true, but the articles are still coming out that Harry is doing a documentary on Diana's life through Netflix. Let's wait and see. Oh my goodness, put those comments down, make them good. Don't forget to hit the like and the subscribe button and the bell for all notifications. Then go down into the description box where you'll find the link to my Twitter, my Gettr, my Rumble, my email, my Amazon wish list, a link to my father's book, a link to my second channel. And for those of you who've donated to my coffee fund, thank you so much. And as always, you guys, have a great day.